Hey, this is Professor Homa. Welcome to EX11, the Wiki dentist site, and we're continuing our CSS file. We did the top part. Now we're going to do our kind of article section in the middle. We're going to do our nav part, which is going to float to the right, and we have this little part down here, and we have a bottom part, and then we're going to make it responsive. So I think hopefully, I'm not going to make any predictions, but hopefully in 2 more videos we'll wrap this thing up. So I'll go through this pretty quickly because this is just formatting text for this part here. So as far as our CSS, where we were up to was our top nav hover, and that was just the thing for our top nav. And for the pic strip, we're just going to put in a size here of 858 pics. You need pics for the CSS, and the height is 300. We're going to put that in there because we're going to need that later for that section, so that when we do the responsive, that it keeps that area the same size. That's why we're going to do that there, and that's just the same as the picture. So that's where we got that. Now the article section is basically this whole article content. That's really this part of the page here. It's really, you know, this is the part of the page that we're doing. So we're calling this the article section. These things here, and then we have a nav section, and then we have a little part at the bottom. So so for the article section, what we're going to do with that is basically give it a padding above and below of like an M, nothing on the side, because we already have padding on the left side from the container. But we are going to change the width as well. So I'm going to put a width in here of 67%. You could put pixels, but we're going to put percent. And then I'm also going to use a padding of 1M on the top and bottom, and then 0, because I don't want any on the right and left. And then I'm going to float this thing to the left. So it should be to the left of whatever else is in the HTML of that section. So let's take a look and see what happens here. And you can see what happens. Now it floats it to the left of everything else, including the nav and including this little part here. So the float is working, but we're going to have to fix some of this over here, which is okay. But that's exactly how we want it. If we want it smaller, we could adjust the percentage. But I thought that percentage was pretty good as far as what we need over here. So, and then we could just format this text here, and I'll just format this text real quickly. We have an article H2, which is using that kind of Georgia family. So rather than type all that again, I'll just find where I have that whole serif family stuff, and I'll copy it, and I'll come down here, and I'll put that in here for font family. Make sure you don't put the semicolon twice. So there's Georgia. The font size for the article H2, I'm going to do like 1.7. You could kind of, you know, mess around with a little bit. I'm going to do like 1.7 M. You know, and that was something I just messed around with it. And you can mess around with that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Font weight not bold. How do you make something not bold? You use font weight and you use normal. That makes it non-bold. And then it's also going to be white, which you could put in white, or you could do FFF. Okay, so that's pretty much the formatting of that. The paragraph that's right below, if you want to see it, there it is. Looks good. The paragraph right below it, in our CSS, there's the article P. That's how that's identified. It's in the section article or the element article, but it's the P, it's the paragraph that's in there. It's not the H2. So this is identifying the H2 with a space. This is identifying the P. So that's that section. So that looks okay. Except we have this thing here. One thing I'm going to do here is actually for if I look at my HTML, I identified this bottom call today thing by a class. H3 class equals call today. So I identified that because I want to actually remove the float on whatever follows this. So I'm going to remove the float. So it's kind of in between there, but I just want to show what it does. So I'm going to put clear both. That just clears the floats. And I'll worry about the font family. It uses the serif family, which I could copy it from up here. There's the serif family. And I'll come down to call today, and I'll paste that in. Make sure you don't have the semicolons twice. Font size, I think I left that in there for you. Not bold. Remember, you put in normal. And then the color is the blue color, which I could go in here and just put in any color. I'll put in white, and then I'll right-click, and I'll do quick edit, and I'll look for that dark blue color. Not blue, but dark blue. And I'll hit the X, and that should put in the blue color, and that should move it down to the bottom. So there you could see it's now moved. There's my class at the bottom. There's my 2, I think that is, and here's my paragraph. I just have to move this and change some things with this right nav. So this one's a little tricky. Some of this stuff you already know how to do with the right navs, but there's always a lot of work to do with the right navs. I'm going to leave this position thing alone right now because there's something I want to show you later. But list style type, I'm going to put in something called square because I want a square bullet. We didn't do that yet, but that's, if you look under W3 schools, under the lists, you could do square bullets. The color, I want white because I want the bullets to be white, so I'm going to put in white, or you can do FFF if you want to be consistent. Margin top, I think I'm just going to put in a little like a 0.3 em, just a little bit of margin top. And font size, it says 90% of default. That just means 0.9 em. Just going to make it a little bit smaller. I think they had it even smaller on their original site when you go to the original site. Okay, and also the link color I'm going to make white. So I'll do FFF here. Remember, we did white, we did here so that the bullet was white. This one is so all the links, any link that we find is going to be white, so we put that there. And any hover color, we're going to use the dark blue. Let's see, I think I have these backwards. Well, I could leave that there, but I'll copy that. And this one will be white. I think the hover color will be white, and this will be blue. So I'll just right-click on this, do a quick edit, and choose the blue color. I think that's what I want. Let me close that up. And I'll go over here, and I think that's what I want. I think I want them white when I hover over. I want it the opposite, whatever these are. These are white and they turn blue. These are blue and they turn white. And I want to keep the lines there. I think the lines look like links. But I have an issue here with the way this is lining up. So, and you can see, because I don't have a float on this. I don't necessarily have a float on this. You can see it's showing it like it goes across. It's kind of ignoring, this is floating to the left of that. But you can see this is kind of overlapping. So what I have to do, this kind of just made it easier. So I'll go up to here. I'm going to do a position relative. And this helps you for moving things around. You can use absolute, you could use relative, but we're going to use relative because we want it relative to where it's at. And I'm just going to put something, I'm going to do from the left side of this, I'm going to put just like an M amount. And I'm going to do 4M. And for the top, I'm going to do 5M. And this, what it should do is just, it's like a shift. It's like position. It's from the left, from the top. So I'm just going to kind of move it over from the left and from the top on here. And what it should do is just kind of moves it over a little bit. You can see it shifts kind of the whole thing a little bit. So it moves it from the left and moves it from the top. And it does show going outside. I don't know if that'll be a problem later. But anyway, just using that sometimes is kind of a quick fix. Just adjusting the making position relative and just moving it a certain distance. And you can play around with it and see how it looks. And again, we'll make them stack once we get another breakpoint. And then the line items, I think we already did the line items. So I think we're pretty much done with this part. I think that's the way our link should look. That's the way this should look. That's the way that should look. The last part we're going to do is the bottom part.